Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 64 of the Anime Banter podcast with your host, Turtle, Sean, and Mike. Thank you for joining us today. How are you two doing?
I'm doing all right. What about you boys?
Never better.
I'm also doing pretty good. It's been a good summer, busy summer so far. Hard to believe that June is almost over already at this point.
I know. It's been going by fast.
Soon it's going to be cold and snowing and bleh.
Bleh.
That pass. Well, why would you do that? Meanwhile, all the weather is like in the 90s.
Meanwhile, we're in the middle of a heat wave where
Yeah.
the real feel is over 100 degrees here.
And I feel it, let me tell you.
And we don't live in the South.
I was in my office all day, and I left work, and it was the first time I was outside after entering my work building. I'm like, so I didn't know how it felt outside. I'm like, oh no, this is terrible. Like, just even the wind felt bad. Like, even the wind was hot.
Yeah, when you're waiting across the street and you're like standing in the sun. I'm like, I'm cooking. Like, I feel like I am in an oven right now.
It's like, let me take an egg, throw it on the pavement, and it makes a scrambled egg real quick.
I feel so bad for my coworkers who are out in the heat. I mean,
Oh.
they're in a shop, so I mean, like there's a roof over the head, but I mean, it's hot, and fans can only do so much.
Have the two of you got out to anything fun of late?
Yeah. So right now at Kura Sushi, they have the Dragon Ball Z or Dragon Ball Super event, I should say. And for those of you listening who don't know, Kura Sushi is that chain of sushi restaurants where they have the sushi on a conveyor belt. And every 15 plates that you deposit into the slot where they calculate your total based on plate numbers, every plate you deposit gets you a count of one. And every 15, you get like a little prize. And if you spend a certain amount of money, the week that I went, you got a Dragon Ball Super Kura Sushi collaboration T-shirt. Although they only had the size in large, which is fine with me. But like, I know a lot of people who like would be quite unhappy if they only got a large size as opposed to like an extra or 2XL or even a medium. So that wasn't fantastic. But I'm glad I mostly wear larges anyway, so it ended up working out for me.
How was the sushi?
Yeah, it's really good. Honestly, I don't know if it's like the best sushi ever, but I love the variety, and I like the ability to just pick it off the conveyor belt. Because like if you're at a restaurant, a lot of times they're like, "All right, which rolls would you like?" And then you look and you're like, "Well, what if I want two different rolls?" And you look and you're like, "Oh, this roll costs $16 and this roll costs $18." Like, okay, well, I guess I'm gonna spend 30 something dollars to try two different sushi rolls. But here it's like at least in Pittsburgh it's 375 a plate.
Oh, that's pretty affordable.
Yeah, but each plate only has like 2 to 3 pieces of
Oh,
sushi on it.
but still,
But still,
I
I
can't.
like the variety.
Yeah,
If you want to try like four different sushis, you pick up four different plates.
right.
Sushi, try 1 or 2 pieces. And sometimes if there's 2 pieces of something, and you're like, hey, I only want to try one. Does someone at the table want to try the other half of this plate? You can do that.
Yep. And it's not like because you're buying the plate already, it's not like you're getting charged for anything you don't eat as well.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and that's what I like about I'm glad you said that, Mike, because some of those all you can eat sushi places, you order a whole roll pretty much, and if you don't finish it, they charge you, which is criminal. But I get it. They don't want you ordering and wasting like 2 or 3 full rolls. But still, feels criminal.
I haven't had sushi for a while. Now I want sushi.
It's been a while for me as well. I think we should all find some time to make it down there.
Indeed. Oh, but I did want to point out a couple differences for those of you who have been to a Kura Sushi. I've been to one in Japan and I've been to one in America. Because when I was in Japan, I did go to a Kura Sushi, and they are somewhat different. The concept is the same, where like you get prizes based on your plates, and the plates are pretty much exactly the same. But In Japan, it's far more affordable. They charge way less there for a plate. I don't know what the equivalent is, but let's just say, like, I think I spent like half the amount that I do like when I was in Japan versus. And I understand that the foreign currency exchange rate has something to do with that, but even so, like, it was considerably less. So that's part one. Part two is that I'm gonna get I might get some hate for this. I like the selection at the American one better.
Ooh.
Yeah, America has a lot of interesting like sushi rules that Japan doesn't have. When I would go and I would get sushi, a lot of cases it's the sushi that is like, a lump of rice and a good piece of fish. And don't get me wrong, the fish in Japan is a little better than the fish in Pittsburgh. So you have to take that into consideration. But still, though, I like that I can get a roll with avocado on it pretty easily here. And there are a few other ingredients that like we have here that we put into rolls. They don't really do in Japan. Like I said, we have the rolls here in Japan. Most sushi is just kind of like rice and fit with a piece of fish on top. So yeah, just like I like the variety here better. Um, and if that enrages some listeners, then sorry, I guess I'm just a dumb foreigner. Baka Gaijin.
Sean, did they have the bottle set when you went?
You know what? I did not inquire about the bottle set.
I was
I
looking on
think
their.
I feel like they did,
Okay.
but I did not ask about it.
Seems like a pretty neat looking bottle and lanyard. You get
Yeah,
free refills with it for
yeah, it
$16.
was pretty interesting. I think if I lived near it, I would go way too much. So I'm thankful there isn't like one in my neighborhood.
Yet.
Right, yet.
Oh no, don't do that.
It's coming, Sean.
Nah, it's not. I know my neighborhood. My neighborhood, man, where I moved to, it didn't really start developing until like the year 2000 ish. And places that kind of had that, unfortunately, there'll be a small like family owned restaurant and there'll be barely anyone at it. But every weekend, the Olive Garden, Applebee's, Smoky Bones, Texas Longhorn, I'm sorry, Longhorn Steakhouse, Chick-fil-A, they are all packed every
Yep.
weekend. And I'm like, well, nobody wants family run like unique food. Everyone just wants the same like five chains on repeat. That's all people want, especially where I am. So, and it makes me mad because I don't generally want those. It's not that I'm against anti-chain. I indulge in some of those chains on occasion, but yeah, it just kind of makes me mad. At least we have a couple good sushi places around here. They're just not on a conveyor belt, which for some reason in my mind makes them taste better.
Exactly.
It's unique, it's different.
It is.
It looks like the t-shirt promotion is over, but they still have other promotions for prizing with acrylic stand keychains, enamel pins, and foam sticker sets.
Yeah, dude, got myself a Vegeta acrylic standee.
Nice. My
Yeah,
Ooh.
boy Jeets.
yeah, it was it was pretty cool. Hoping if we go again that I'll get the special one. It's Super Saiyan Blue Goku.
Rare item.
Yeah, that's the rare item. When I went for the Spy Family promotion, I got the rare item, like the Forger magnets. Put them on my
Oh,
refrigerator. They look real good.
very cool. Where's like the Super Saiyan God Vegeta?
Oh, come on.
That's for the
Come on,
next
Turtle.
promotion.
Yeah, come on, man.
Come on,
It's
Turtle. You know that no one cares about Vegeta.
hey, Vegeta fans, rise up.
Goku's the only one who's allowed to matter.
No, no,
Vegeta's not allowed to win.
no, no.
Even
I
in
don't want to hear.
Resurrection F, Vegeta won the fight, but he really didn't. They had to rewind time and let Goku get the finishing blow because, come on now.
I was kind of insulted by that. I'll be honest.
No,
that
no
that
love
hurt.
for Vegeta. I would have
That
loved if
hurt.
Goku didn't fight the entire movie and Vegeta just wailed on people. Would have been awesome.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we need more Vegeta moments. That's for darn sure.
I've heard in the manga, I think he has a few cool moments coming up, but not to be spoilerific or anything, but I've heard there may be some cool Vegeta moments coming up. But we'll see if they make their way into the anime. Hey, is there new anime announced?
Nope.
Dragon Ball Daima is going to happen, and
What is that?
it's not really a continuation from Super, I don't think. I think it's just
No.
his own its own thing that Toriyama was like, "Hey, let's just have fun." Where like all the characters get turned into kids somehow, and then they go on an adventure. And I don't really know more than that. But Toriyama was like, involved in it. It was the last thing that he was involved in. So I'm just curious to see what it is. But I don't think it's like a continuation from Super or anything.
Who knows when we if we get a continuation of Super as an anime or just keep getting movies.
Yeah, I'm curious about that. I'd like to see it come back as an anime, but who knows?
I would also like to see the fact it just prints money. How have they not just dishing stuff?
I have no idea either. I know like Japan and Shueisha are like super protective of it, but like guys, you've been sitting on Super. It ended in when did it end? 2017 or something?
Might have been
Something
like
like that.
18 or 19. Oh man, jeez, if it was really 17, I'm old.
Yeah, like it's been a long time. Can you give us some episodes, please? I want to watch Dragon Ball
March 25th, 2018.
2018. All right, so
Yeah.
early 18 even.
Oh
But
my
so yeah,
gosh.
6 years
That's a long time for not much Dragon Ball. I won't say no because we got a couple movies, and there's Daima going to be coming out. But where's my Super? Where's Dragon Ball? Give me something.
with Turtle's plea for more Dragon Ball. Shall we get into the anime for today?
Yeah, I guess.
Arguably, these anime are better than Dragon Balls. So, no, I'm just stirring the pot.
Yeah, I was gonna say, wow, you're calling some shots here.
It's hard to judge. I've seen 3 episodes of Kaiju number 8.
Although to be fair, I do like Kaiju number 8 so far.
Yep. Does anyone else want to call it Kaiju number 5? Yeah, like I think Mambo number 5. A little bit of Kafka in my life. A little bit of I don't know.
Mina, a little bit of Ichikawa. Oh,
We just
and
got
with
hit with copyright.
and with that, today we are talking about episode 3 of Kaiju number 8 and season 7, episode 3 of My Hero Academia. Kaiju number 8, episode 3, Revenge Match. The episode begins with a recap of Shinomiya moving the van with ease and smelling the scent of kaiju on Kafka. Ichikawa is quick to cover their trail by saying they work in kaiju disposal. Shinomiya is curious why they are there. Kafka, in the meantime, uses his kaiju strength to fix the van and put it into a spot, surprising Shinomiya and making Ichikawa anxious. Kafka gets all smug and tries to mimic Shinomiya's introduction with an introduction of his own.
Yeah, I knew what the reason was going to be last episode. They left it on a cliffhanger. You smell like kaiju. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that easy, easy excuse. Oh, we work for the disposal unit. We're covered in entrails all the time.
I'm actually kind of glad that they hit that this early and then move past it. But yeah, this is a very great scene. It made me laugh.
It was a good cliffhanger to end episode 2 with, but you knew it wasn't going to get anything too serious, I feel like. I also feel like that's sort of the gist of this show. Like, it never takes itself too seriously from what we've seen so far.
Yeah, the joke that's coming up here, I really enjoyed. We'll talk about it in a second.
Shinomiya's chauffeur steals the space while Kafka is bragging. Shinomiya walks off saying she is going to make a fool of Kafka. Ichikawa slams his foot down in anger as Kafka used his power to move the van. We get some inspirational music as we get a voiceover from Kafka saying that this is his last shot and he can't throw it away.
Let's go, Kafka.
And I want to give a big shout out to the chauffeur who took that parking space. Kafka's yelling at him, "Stop being so good at your job." I absolutely love that line. I thought that was very funny.
I love how Kafka was mad at him for interrupting his bantering.
Yeah. I love how they use the word banter. I was like, hey, that's what we do.
Yeah, I was also thinking. I was like, good plug from the show.
Perfect episode for us to cover.
I feel seen.
We get a training montage of Kafka being left behind by all of the other test takers during the fitness test. He's trying to figure out why he's so much slower when he has been hitting his training program so hard. Kafka wonders if this is what happens to your body when you turn 30. So much for scoring as many points as possible in the fitness test, as Kafka is ranked 219th out of 225 at the end of the fitness portion. Ichikawa, on the other hand, is ranked 5th out of 225. Kafka is super embarrassed.
Kafka is a fellow old man. I understand your pain. But to be fair, I never try to do anything physical for the most part. So I guess I don't really feel the pain because I just don't do anything. Man, I gotta get out there.
I'm feeling pain and I don't do anything. What does that make me?
I totally understand where Kafka's coming from. Playing softball, I have people that are younger than me. I have people that are older than me, and it's always funny because like the young guys are always super fast and everything, and then you get the guys that are older than me. They're like, my body hurts. I can't heal as quick as I used to. I need to get there 45 minutes in advance to stretch everything out, but I still want to do it. Ichikawa is proud of Kafka for not using his power. Kafka said everyone worked their butts off to get there, and it wouldn't be right to use his power. But then he shakes Ichikawa vigorously, saying it's exactly what he should have done instead of acting cool. Vice Commander Hoshina is seen dropping off the list of applicants to Mina. He says they have a good crop of interesting candidates this year, going as far as calling it a bumper crop. Mina stops on Kafka's application. She tells Hoshina to continue while she works. He says there are some candidates worth watching. They include Haruchi Izumo, who finished second in the fitness exam. This was the blue haired man from the parking lot. Iharu Furuhashi, who finished third in the fitness exam. He was the red haired man who showed up on the motorcycle. Ai Kaguraki, finished first in the fitness exam. He was the blonde haired man who was running, as well as other top applicants, but we don't learn about them. Ichikawa then provides more information on Shinomiya, who graduated at 16 as valedictorian and is called history's greatest talent.
Yeah, I'm guessing we're gonna get to know a lot of these characters later, but for now, I'm gonna kind of reserve judgment on any of them.
I feel like the only ones that we'll get to know are the ones that they explicitly pointed out. We won't necessarily learn about these other quote unquote top end talents. Shinomiya walks over to Kafka to gloat and see he finally realized who she is. He grabs a hold of her, trying to apologize for not realizing how big of a deal she is. In the process, her security team tackles him and begins to kick him. Furuhashi wonders what's up with the old dude. Izumo wonders if he's a Shinomiya fanboy. Kafka says she won't be smirking when he makes a fool out of her, but internally realizes he's boned. Ichikawa says for the last 2 years, the second half of the test has been kaiju disposal, and that's why he joined the cleaning crew.
I love how Kafka's not only failing the test, but he's also embarrassing himself in front of everyone. When it rains, it pours. But I also want to take a note. Thank you, Mike, for writing down all these character names. Because I tell you what, I couldn't tell you a single name outside of Shinomiya, Kafka, and Ichikawa. So yeah, thanks for putting all those down. Because I think the casual viewer would not know any of these names.
They're also not the easiest of names to pronounce.
Definitely not.
Yeah, I'm just going with hair color at this point. There's blonde girl and blue-haired guy and red-haired guy.
Sorry, Kafka, but no such luck for you this year. We go to the Defense Force training area for part 2 of the exam. Hoshina introduces himself to the test takers and states that their final task will be to track down all the kaiju inside and subdue them in combat. Ichikawa and Kafka freak out at this idea as we see a bull-looking kaiju. The kaiju charges for the exit when bars from all directions block the door, and the defense force aims their guns at it. Kafka is freaking out as Shinomiya laughs.
Yeah, it's kind of funny how they changed up the test on the last minute. I was actually thinking that they weren't going to do that. I was actually thinking, yeah, it's going to be like something Kafka excels at. Or maybe there'd be three parts, right? Like a surprise third part. First part's like, what they did here. The second, the physical fitness. Then the second part is the cleaning, the stuff that being in the cleaning exam will give you advantage for. Then the third test will be like a curveball that they throw you. I'm like, nope. Instead of the cleaning thing or a curveball, we're just gonna have you straight up fight kaiju right now in training with no experience. And I'm like, man, this is kind of dangerous.
And I want to shout out to the comedy writing bits for the show because they've just been absolutely excellent. I really love Kafka and Ichikawa, their interactions together. Ichikawa was like, "Well, the last couple years it's been kaiju cleanup. That's why I joined your party, so we should be all right." And then they announce it's combat, and Kafka grabs him, starts shaking him. He's like, "Why'd you lie to me?" I just love their dynamic.
I also with the comedy though, I also love Ichikawa as like the straight man. You know what I mean? Like Kafka's guy freaks out, but Ichikawa is just like always kind of has the same face
Yes,
no matter what. I was just like that duo really cracks me up.
yeah, they're written really well. They're doing a great job.
Hoshina tells the test takers they all need to put on combat suits. Ichikawa puts a suit on. It fits itself to him. Ichikawa explains how the suit feels as Hoshina goes into more depth about the suits. We get a montage of everyone learning their unleashed combat power. Ichikawa is 8%. Izumo is 18%. Kugaragi is 15%. Furuhashi is 14%. Shinomiya is a whopping 46%. And poor Kafka is a 0%. Hoshina laughs his ass off at Kafka. Kafka tries to power up like he's in DBZ, and Hoshina tells him to stop. He's not taking a dump. We learn that it is rare to have so many test takers over 10%. Shinomiya, on the other hand, is getting annoyed that she isn't seeing the power of Kafka like in the parking lot. Hoshina walks in saying, "It's time to get started."
Yeah, so I was very curious how these suits were going to interact with Kaiju number 8, right? Like this is Kaiju skin, it's react to your body. I'm like, okay. So I was thinking he was going to one of two ways, right? Either Kafka was going to be at 0%, or he was going to be at like 100% because he's already a Kaiju. Um, the 0% is definitely funnier.
It sure is.
I
Yeah,
just
the scene of him powering up, I was dying.
I love how they're like, "Oh, no one ever has 0%," and then Kafka is at 0%. And then he legit gets into the Goku power up stance, and they call him out for it. I love how this show sort of makes fun of some anime tropes.
Well, yeah, in anime, sometimes you just get ahead by one of the things I always hate about anime is like this character's determination is what pushes him forward, and I'm like, yep, no other character besides the protagonist was determined whatsoever. None of them were determined, but thank goodness the protagonist was more determined. Like we're about to watch My Hero Academia, right? And a lot of times they're like, go plus ultra, where it's like the character tries really hard, and then they try a little harder, and that's why they win. And I'm like, wow, if you'd tried that hard from the start, we could have had this wrapped up in 30 seconds.
What's taking so long?
But that's not how this works here, and I like that.
We head to the training area for the final exam. Hoshina explains that there are 36 Yoju and 1 Hanju. The test takers are to neutralize the targets placed randomly in the area. We also learn that these kaiju were the cause of 16 deaths in an attack last year. Each test taker will be monitored by drones. If they determine a test taker's life is in danger, they will remotely activate a shield in their suit and they will fail the exam.
Shades of the free Ren mage exam. When they like break your bottle and then like a golem will carry you out. You know? Um I hate to compare everything to free Ren because obviously we're on a new show and people listening might be like, what the heck is free Ren? I'm here for Kaiju number 8. But free Ren, they also had a bizarre number of like genius talents like they do have here. I'm getting a lot of parallels between my exams here. So but you know what though? Free Ren rocked, so I'm down with this.
I will say the one thing that was interesting about Free Ren compared to this in terms of like the savior, like the saving golem, like the saving golem, you were guaranteed to be rescued safely. With the shield, even then they can't guarantee that the safety of the test taker.
That is true, and that's an interesting twist. But this is the second show I've ever heard the term bumper crop from. Freerun being the first. I don't know if there's a connection there. Just pointing that out.
Did they use that term here?
Yeah,
Oh, well then.
just saying.
We getting that crossover movie at some point.
Ooh, maybe.
Free Ren would just come in and wipe the floor with everybody.
She could team up with the Captain Mina, right?
Yeah.
Is that her name?
Yep.
Yeah, yeah, with Mina. She could team up with Mina and yeah, one has a big gun, one has a big amount of mana. They start blasting.
Kafka can punch some things. Yeah, I'd watch that.
The test takers charge into battle, with Shinomiya leading the charge. She quickly takes out multiple Yoju, leaving everyone else in the dust. Kafka is lagging behind as he doesn't have the strength to lift anything in his suit. He tries to brag about the power of Zero. Ichikawa is quick to shut that down. We learn that Mina is in the control tower watching the test takers. Kafka realizes it's time to be serious. He wonders why everyone is being tracked by drones. If they wanted kill counts, they could just do that through the suit. He realizes they want to see how all the test takers can adapt.
Yeah, I mean, Shinomiya just kicks butt. She's gonna solo this whole test.
That's the power of Zero.
That's the power of love.
I love Kafka, man. He just makes me laugh.
He's the best. Ichikawa and Kafka take off and begin to offer advice and backup to other test takers on how to take out the Yoju. Kafka realizes he recognizes the Yoju from a previous cleanup job. Izumo thanks him for the tip, saying, "Thanks, creepy Shinomiya fanboy." Kafka says he's not a fanboy. Hoshina begins to take notice of Kafka and Ichikawa.
Yeah, proving their worth here. I do like that. Kafka's redeeming feature is that he's not. He's despite what the comedy scenes leads you to believe, he's actually really not a complete idiot. And his years in the cleanup crew have like really prepared him because he's seen almost every type of kaiju. He's prepared.
When it's time to get serious, he gets serious.
Ichikawa says he will throw the next stun grenade and to keep up the pace. Just then, a Yoju appears and grabs a hold of Kafka, who immediately spits up blood. The Yoju throws Kafka, and we learn his vital signs are irregular and he is unable to fight. Hoshina says prepare to activate his shield. Kafka tries to force himself to stand. He is unable to do so. They are about to activate his shields when the Yoju is taken out by Shinomiya. She says there are no quitters and no casualties when she is on the battlefield.
Yeah, I'm actually like slowly growing into a Shinomiya fan. Wasn't sure what I thought about her at first. I thought she was gonna be like some arrogant, little kid that Kafka doesn't have to teach a lesson to. But I actually think she's like pretty ambitious and good. And yeah, maybe she is a little cocky, but apparently she has a reason to be. So I don't know. The Shinomiya is growing on me as a character very quickly.
I guess she's okay.
That's eternal.
Yeah, just she's just okay. She has a long way to go. She has a lot to learn.
Shinomiya takes off towards the Hanju. The other test takers can't believe how strong she is. Kafka wonders if his leg is broken. Hoshina says Kafka probably suffered multiple broken bones and organ damage. Kafka wonders if he has no choice but to give up. He tries to get up as he realizes the real talents are leaving him in the dust. Hoshina recommends him giving up. Kafka says it's his call, but refuses to give up as he stands. We see his combat power go up from 0% to 0.01%, surprising Hoshina. Kafka says into the camera he's not giving up this time, no matter what. Mina just stares into his eyes on the TV.
So I thought that Kafka wouldn't be able to go higher than 0 because he's Kaiju number 8, but apparently it really was just because he was that inept with the suit, probably. So, but now he did power up. I wonder what determines your compatibility with the suit. I'm very curious as to like what determines that. So I want to see more. I gotta see how Kafka somehow survives this. I imagine it involves transforming to Kaiju number 8, but I do want to know for sure how long will he be able to keep up the secret identity for.
Didn't they make mention when they were initially putting on the suits that that this was just an initial combat power and it could grow over time?
Yes, they did. I do remember that. So I'm really hoping we see like you said, Sean, I'm interested to see if we get more details or information on those suits and how they function and how you can improve your compatibility or connectivity to them. So that's an interesting feature or element of the story that I was not expecting.
There's some fun world building.
Absolutely. I hated this ending though, leaving it on a cliffhanger like this. I want to watch the
It's
next one.
criminal. Yeah, I have a feeling this show is gonna be filled with like criminal cliffhangers.
Those are the worst.
But good episode this week.
I was gonna say, what did the two of you think of this episode?
I liked it.
I'm a big fan. Despite that cliffhanger ending, I give it two thumbs up. I really enjoyed this one,
They have to leave you wanting more.
and I do, and I hate them for it.
I'm very excited to see where the second part of the test goes. What will Kafka do? Will he survive? What will the other characters do? I'm very excited to see what happens in episode 4.
I feel like he has to make it to the court, right? Like he has to. Like I just don't see how you could have this show and he doesn't somehow pass this test.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I don't see any way he does not pass, but they did it in such a way where even though I'm pretty sure he's going to pass, I'm still very excited to see how he passes because right now it looks like he's about down and out.
It's not looking good for him with how low he scored on the fitness test, and now the fact that he has multiple broken legs and organ damage.
Can he use his kaiju powers to like heal himself and buff himself up? We just don't know.
We know he can urinate through his nipples.
We do know that.
Yes, he can.
That episode left me thirsty, and alcohol is the best medicine, and that means it's time for Mike's Beer of the Week. This week's beer comes to you from Warhorse Brewing, and it is their S'mores with Churchill, a 6.4% coffee stout with graham cracker and chocolate. You get notes of milk chocolate, caramel, toasted marshmallows, graham crackers, fresh roasted coffee, and cacao nips. I was a big fan of this beer. I'm a huge fan of s'mores, so a s'mores beer is right up my alley. especially on a nice summer evening. I get it. Coffee stouts aren't always the go-to in the summertime, but it sort of helped with the fact that this was a s'mores beer, and I didn't get too much coffee flavor. The untapped average rating is a 4.04, and I give it a 4. Now that our thirst has been quenched, let's shift gears to talk about My Hero Academia Season 7, Episode 3, Villain. We start with Deku recapping the last 2 episodes of Star and Stripe answering All Might's call for aid in her fight with Shigaraki. We're back in the creepy All for One cave hideout. We see All for One, Spinner, Toga, and some Nomu, all staring at Shigaraki writhing in pain on the ground. All for One says he will endure. Shigaraki says everyone will suffer. All for One can feel their consciousnesses merging as some of Shigaraki's hatred for One for All is coming from All for One. All for One apologizes to Dobby and says they will need to delay a little while longer. Dobby is not pleased that Endeavor gets to keep walking the earth. All for One says he has many friends, unlike Dobby.
Yeah, Dobby, you piece of crap.
He is a big jerk.
I will say, I really enjoyed that twist when that happened last season.
That was a heck of a twist. I did not see that one coming.
What twist?
Dobby being Endeavor's kid.
Uh, yeah, I read like a lot of fan theories when the manga was coming out and stuff, and I was like, nah, this makes sense.
It makes sense, but I didn't pick up on it at all. So when they
Same.
revealed it, I was totally shocked.
Same here, especially for not having any background on the manga. We get a montage of the UA students getting stronger and practicing their team attacks. We learn that Endeavor taught Bakugo a move to utilize his sweat. He uses the move to catch Deku off guard. Todoroki is getting better at regulating his left side, and he hopes to withstand Dobby's flames soon.
Yeah, it's fun to see the students develop. That's the part of My Hero Academia that I almost wish that the show had not ramped up into like the big leagues as fast as it did, and spent a little more time on the academia portion, as opposed to like the hero portion. Maybe I'm sure others feel differently and say like, hey, if we stayed in school for like much longer, it would have just been too boring. But I don't know. I would have liked a little more school still, because I feel like there are characters who've really barely gotten any time. And I feel like I don't even really know them. I think about like the Sugar Rush guy, and I'm like, I don't know crap about this guy who says he likes to bake cake. Like, I'd have been cool to get the guy know the guy a little more.
I feel like that's kind of the downside in a show like this where you're focusing on like a whole classroom. You have a lot of characters to try to, touch upon who they are and, what their thing is, what their powers are, what their personality is. It's really hard to do that when you have such a handful of people, but you're really trying to only focus on a few key people and these other characters just kind of like fill in the background. And then we get a situation like this. Well, we don't really know this character or that character or this one. We just focus on Midoriya and Bakugo.
Yeah, I'm gonna reference a throwback for the folks listening at home. If anyone has watched or read Negima, uh, it is like that. It's a boy who's like middle school age teaches a entire class full of middle school girls, like an all girls school. And obviously, they all like the teacher. I guess because it's just it's written by a man. It's always kind of weird whenever a full grown man writes that kind of stuff about middle school girls. But I don't know. I read it when I was in high school, so disclaimer, But we didn't get to know all the class members. There were like 20 something class members, and I think they really gave like 12 or 13 of them like really adequate screen time. And the other ones, they got a little bit here and then. Maybe they like one chapter of the manga dedicated to them, but like you didn't get like a deep look into like who they are in a lot of cases. Even though it was a very long manga.
Kaminari, lightning power, disagrees with All Might. He believes now is the time for them to strike, with Gigantomachia taking a long prison nap. Bakugo says he forgot three things. One, they probably won't be able to find All for One's lair. Two, they faced an incomplete Shigaraki last time, and they don't know his true power. And three, the League gets to determine when they face off, as All for One can now locate quirks, so they lose the element of surprise. Deku says it's up to him to draw Shigaraki out. Tenya says, "Don't you mean all of us?" As we cut to a shot of all of Class 1A.
Man, Class 1A really wants to die, don't they?
Help, you mean help.
Very sick ending. Like All for One just kills off half these high school students, and the last episode is just their parents being sad.
They could kill Ball Boy,
They I don't know, with the backlash of that character, they might.
Yeah, Mineta going. That's the only way they could salvage him at this point.
make him the sacrificial pity lamb.
Yeah, but yeah, Kaminari gets slapped down. And I'm just like, man, he never was the brightest student. Poor guy.
We're in the forest as Toru, the invisible girl, and three silhouetted figures are seen talking. We learn that the three figures are Yuga, Laser Boy, and his parents. They are begging him to listen, as he has been feeding All for One information since the beginning of Season 1. Yuga says he doesn't want to do this anymore. Toru can't believe what she's hearing. His mom says he was born quirkless, and they didn't want him to be excluded. They wanted to make his life better. Now they are here as All for One's pawns, or otherwise they are dead.
Yeah, this is pretty interesting. I mean, I guess this is it. This is the traitor, right?
This is one of his friends.
I completely forgot they had talked about having a traitor back in, like, what, season 4 or something. Because 'cause it's been so long.
Yup.
So this kinda shocked me, and then they showed the flashbacks of, like, the training camp, and he was, like, hiding, and I was like, "Oh, that does kinda make sense." So they did kinda slowly hint at it, but you just at least for me, I never thought that it was gonna be one of the students. I thought it was a teacher or something.
I always had a feeling it was him.
Okay.
Like there were
I
just
Yeah, I feel the
clips.
same way.
There are always clips that I'm like, I was just getting weird vibes from him. I'm like, I don't know, something's going on with this character. And they always played it off like, oh, see, it was just he also was born quirkless, and Deku was born quirkless, and they're the same. And like, they would always find ways to like make it seem like, oh, he's not doing anything bad. He's trying to be better. Like he's this and that, and like he's still friendly. And then it's like, oops, he is the traitor.
This is actually, I'm going to defend this though. A lot of people would be like, "Oh, Aoyama, that's so anticlimactic or so dumb. It doesn't make any sense." I love the idea of obviously when he talks to Deku a while back and he's like, "Hey, we both have quirks that don't really fit our bodies." And you're like, "You know what? If it isn't really pointed out before, like Aoyama, he's just like you would see him use it and he'd be like, "Oh, my stomach," and they put him in like a really funny pose. And I'm like, yeah, it's kind of weird that this guy wanted to be a hero using his quirk when it only causes him pain. Um, and you're like, oh, maybe he just really wants to be a hero. But like, you kind of get the vibe the whole time that he doesn't necessarily really want to be a hero. And if he does, it's for the reason of like getting famous. But instead, nope, his parents put him up to it. And you're like, yeah, if this was just a regular dude who was born with a quirk that like didn't agree with his body, he'd probably do everything he could to not use his quirk. So I don't know. I actually like the pick of Aoyama as the UA trader, and I'm glad they revisited it because it's something I would think about periodically when reading the manga. Like, hey, are they ever gonna conclude this? And I'm glad they did.
I also like the choice. It makes total sense, going back and thinking about it. I agree, Sean. I think this was a great choice. And yeah, I mean, for me, I just thought he was one of those background characters. I didn't think anything of him. Here's a silly little guy. He's got a tummy laser, and his tummy hurts when he uses it. I would move on and forget about him.
You're right, Turtle. He's one of those characters that we just talked about. We're like, yeah, they're one of those members of the class we don't really get to know. Yeah, and that's what he was.
It's almost like this was all intentional that way.
Hmm.
Deku enters the scene. Toru told him that Yuga has been feeding information to All for One. Yuga confesses that while everyone else wanted Deku to return, he didn't say a word. Deku could tell Yuga was upset, so he went looking for Yuga. Yuga calls himself a revolting villain.
Don't fall for it, Deco. Beat him to a pulp.
So you are the worst villain I've ever seen, Yuga. You're not a bad dude.
He's a bad man. Beat him.
Back in the All for One cave, and add Super Friends sound effect here.
The Batman logo to the front of the screen and then back from the Adam West.
Yep.
You guys are making more work for me here.
Yeah, are we gonna get a copyright strike if we take that sound?
We'll find out because I'm gonna do it.
He continues to talk. All for One continues to talk about his friends. Dobby isn't quite sold on the friends. All for One says his friends are disposable and not essential.
Wow.
That is not the definition of a friend, dude.
Some foreshadowing here. Back in the forest, Yuga's parents tell him to run. We get a flashback of Yuga's parents getting married. We learn they both came from wealth. We learn that his parents went to All for One to give Yuga a quirk. The quirk wasn't a good fit for his body, as it hurt him. His parents went through so much to allow him to live his dreams. We hear All for One telling Yuga what to do over the years at UA. We learn that when Deku wrote a letter to Yuga saying he was also born quirkless, that Yuga was filled with despair. He then shoots a naval laser at Deku, but Taru is able to deflect the blast as her body refracts light. She is upset at Yuga, saying they could have killed them all. The world is going to shit, and he tried to act like he wasn't involved. We then see Taru's face.
Yeah, everyone always wants to see what the Invisible Girl looks like.
You know, if Ballboy was here, he'd be like, "Ugh, she's such a hottie. Why she gotta be invisible?"
Ugh, I hate Ball Boy, but he would have.
Yeah, he totally would have.
She wants Yuga to explain himself. Deku is able to contain Yuga using Black Whip. Yuga tells him he can stop fighting and they can work this out. Back at
Beat
UA,
him. Beat him.
Sean is calling for no mercy.
Yeah, get one of the small states, Rhode Island smash.
Rhode Island smash.
Sean wants Deku to join Cobra Kai.
Sweep the
Put him in
leg.
a body bag, Deku.
Sweep the leg.
Sweep the leg.
Back at UA, Yuga and his family are being detained as Principal Nezu, All Might, President Mike, the police, other professors, and Class 1A are going over the situation. All Might looks like he's on the verge of tears. President Mike can't believe that the traitor was a student. The students have looks of shock and sadness on their faces. Principal Nezu asks for the room, but the students refuse to leave. They can't believe what is happening. The police ask for information about All for One. Yuga's parents say they don't know anything and just did what they were told, or they would have been killed. Yuga's dad says they are to blame, not Yuga.
I would have said, I'm not saying another word unless a lawyer is present.
And then called Saul Goodman.
Oh, crap. That'd be serious.
Yuga gives a tearful speech saying he was more concerned with himself instead of Deku, and that he's rotten to the core. Deku says he doesn't believe him. He asks why he tried to save Bakugo and Tokiyami at the training camp. He asks about the message Yuga left for Deku. Was that something All For One told him to do? Deku says that night was a desperate cry for help that went over Deku's head. Deku says Yuga doesn't have to be a villain forever, and to take his hand, and says he can still be a hero. The police say save it for later, as they want to make sure All For One won't do anything to Yuga.
Yo, hold up, that's rational though.
Yeah, it's true.
Like, what if he jumps in this guy's mind? What if he has some sort of seed planted in his mind where he can take over his body and just blast someone's head off with a laser? You gotta detain the guy and beat him.
Rhode Island Smash! The police ask Yuga's parents why they didn't let All For One know of the attack. They say they have no way to contact All For One. Deku says they don't know where All For One is, but the board is changing. Class 1A then realizes all at once that they now have the advantage of making All For One fight on their terms. Yuga now has the power to trick All For One. The episode ends with Deku saying Yuga can be a hero.
It's definitely a way he can atone. It's like where it's like I guess I've never been arrested. I've been very lucky. But on TV shows and movies, they're like, "Hey, man, if we arrest you, but you do this thing for us, we can shorten your prison sentence," or things like that. And that's probably what's going to happen here. If Aoyama can do that, and help them out and trick All For One, then great.
Or it's a trap. All For One set all this up and he knew Yuga was going to act this way.
Or destroy him!
Rhode Island Smash.
But that is one of those things, though, right? Like, frustrating writing in shows that you said, Turtle, where like, oh, everyone here is playing 2D chess, but All For One is playing 4D chess, where he knew that Aoyama was going to be found out, and that he set up a thing for you know what I mean. Like they sometimes they set up the villain to be a little too mastermindy.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm watching the English dub. I know I'm a filthy casual, but I really love the English cast for this show. But I could totally hear him like explaining this when the trap is sprung. Like, I had planned for this to happen from the beginning and blah blah blah. And like, yeah, yeah, yeah. I could totally hear him say it.
What did the two of you think of episode 3 of My Hero?
Punch him.
It's pretty good. Not gonna lie. Um, I'm glad we got the UA Trader resolution. Like they're really hitting plot points here. Like bam, like the Star and Stripe stuff was interesting. Bam, UA Trader. I'm like, all right, like we're getting some pretty like it's interesting, and that's what you worry about these long running anime is like. Okay, are these episodes actually going to hold my interest 7 seasons in? And these are like 3 really interesting episodes to me.
I agree. I also really like this one. Um, and like this didn't really have any action in it either. It was all just information reveals, drama. There was no fisticuffs. And I typically watch my shonen anime for some good old fisticuffs. But great episode. I'm liking the season. I like the show, so I'm excited to see what the heroes are gonna do now that they can try to trick All For One.
I also really dug this episode. It's been a fun first 3 episodes so far. It feels very different than the start of other seasons for My Hero. And with that, it is time for our waifu of the week. Turtle, who is your waifu of the week?
This week, I'm siding with Kaiju number 8. I'm going with my boy Kafka. I don't think I've called for him yet as a waifu, but I just find him very, very funny, and I appreciate humor. Um, I feel like this guy and I would get along really well in real life if he was a real person. I appreciate and do silly things like he does, maybe not to his extent, but I'm really resonating with his character. And when it's time to get serious, he's not a dummy. He is intelligent. He's just silly, and I appreciate that. So Kafka is my waifu of the week.
Sean, who is your waifu of the week?
Hagakure Toru, Invisible Girl. She leapt in front of a laser blasted Deku, and she also had the wisdom, or sorry, not wisdom, the intuition to spy on the Aoyama family. And she's the one who overheard things, informed Deku about the situation, and we finally got to see what she looks like. And I thought that was really cool because everyone wants to know what the invisible person looks like when they're not invisible, right? So I thought that it was just like a really fun feature they put in the episode. So yeah, I was a big fan, and I thought it was really fun that she got a spotlight.
I'm also going to go with the Invisible Girl, pretty much for the same exact reasons you just said, Sean. So I won't elaborate any further. Thank you all for joining us this week as we watched Kaiju number 8 and Season 7 of My Hero Academia. We hope you join us next week for episode 65 of the Anime Banter podcast, where we will continue our watch of My Hero Academia Season 7 and Kaiju number 8. Please give us a 5-star review on all platforms that allow reviews. If you are listening on YouTube, please like the video, hit the notification bell, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment. The Anime Banter podcast can be found on Facebook, X, Instagram, Threads, and YouTube. Thank you all for joining, and we will talk to you next week.